Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. 2 points of reclarification and also a little bit of setups coming from side opposition. A. The biggest problem under side government is that they do not have the fiat to also erase the perpetrators' memories. A. The motion reads that erasing society's memories, not the offenders. Meaning, the offenders under your side are not going to be completely having zero tendencies of doing said crimes again, or maybe even able to do scapegoating. Meaning, this point from side of proposition essentially falls because of this false, uncharitable claim, right? And even if they actually do, we think it is quite uncharitable, and opposition is going to be very hard to get into this debate at the end of the day. Therefore, let's try to assume it is actually real, right? Or you should be able to. We think that they have never actually explained how in-depth this erasure will actually go. We can also assume that it is only as far as what people are charged with, meaning the fact that there are criminals having grassroots incentives from the start, from whence they were born, meaning there are still a lot of other crimes that they have not been charged with, meaning there are still a lot of assumptions, i.e. like when a serial killer gets into prison because of how he kills, there are still a lot of other reasons that he is not charged with. For instance, like breaking out of his house, or maybe even lying, and many more. This is only exclusive under side proposition. And then secondly, we think it is still going to be bad because crimes come from the illegitimate feeling or choice somebody has, and when you do not destroy the grassroots reason, all your case essentially fails. And this is only exclusive under side proposition. And then C, we think that this point on the underside proposition does not have enough regret towards the perpetrators. The status quo, even from the 1800s, already give deterrence that prison is going to ruin your life entirely. And we think it is still going to be better compared to like public execution because, yeah, at least you're still alive. And this is essentially just justified because from whence you are born in this entire world, you've always been doctrinized that when you do something bad, then you're going to go to prison. And when you go to prison, you finally realize that how bad it actually is. And we think it is your fault, your own fault. Therefore, we think these criminals are not are justified even if they are staying in prison, and after the post-prison life itself, it's still going to be part of like the intangible outcomes that they're going to cater. And then lastly, when they talk about small or bigger crimes, we think there is going to be a lack of difference under side proposition when they say that, oh yeah, this technology is going to erase the society's memories about the small and also bigger crimes. Meaning, I think there's going to be a bigger likelihood of conflicts under your side of the house. Why is this? We think like the fact that it does not have enough guilt. Therefore, I think that anyone can get away with huge crimes when they get huge crimes, because when they get bailed, they're essentially going to be forgotten for what they did. So why not do something big? This is the exact point that is going to be flipped under side proposition. Therefore, please DPM explain. Then secondly, on the point of the victims itself, there is still a huge hole of backlash when they say that, oh yeah, people can still feel anger under the side, but not towards the perpetrators itself. There is a question on the point of like, who are they going to be mad at? This implication can be catered so far, i.e., are they mad at themselves? Are they mad at their family? Or maybe are they mad at their friends, causing self-harm or maybe even suicide in the most extreme cases, right? And then B, the form of acceptance post-usage of this technology, what is it going to look like? A, are they going to just forget where their mother went after being shot by a gang member, for instance? Or are they going to realize and ask themselves where they got the stab wound or the burn marks from? This is the exact question that have never been characterized by side proposition. This is why opposition entirely wins. And then secondly, even if they are able to protect it, it is very unexclusive because you have the realization, you have the capability to realize what is happening to you and what is missing from your life entirely. Are you just going to forget that you have a mother at the end of the day? And this is the question that has not been answered yet. And then C, we think like there is going to be a form of better rehabilitation under our side of the house, because rehabilitation results are not solely based on whether they forget it or not, because the world already forces you to move on from the many disturbances from your life, i.e. natural disasters, car crashes, inflation. Life still goes on, bro, and that's what's been keeping the society intact, and that's what's been keeping you as a person that have lost something or someone in the process of life itself, keeping you still strong in the very end. Therefore, 2 points of setups then. Firstly, what is opposition stance here? We are going to allow the victims to have their freedom of trying to immerse themselves in the fact that they already have enough, they've already catered enough damage for themselves, because there is already enough safety net under our side of the house, i.e. prison, and also like cases when you do not have access towards the outside world. And this is exactly why the under our side, the rehabilitation, especially towards victims, are still going to be better. Let's explain that in the argument. And then secondly, we think it is going to also bring the genuine approach on perpetrators, short and maybe even long-term wise, because we think that when you do not have the short or long-term wise genuine approaches and genuine rehabilitation, we don't think there is also a guarantee under your side of the house to be able to say that, yeah, the criminal are not going to do these things again. Therefore, and then secondly, we think this is an assuming and also a policy debate. What are the few things that needs to be opted out? Firstly, propositions fiat, just like what I've entirely said in my rebuttals. And then secondly, the burden in this motion is quite simple. Which side is going to fulfill the inherent needs for the victims and also for the perpetrator or the criminals itself, and why is it going to be justified? Therefore, 2 points of extension then. Firstly, on the victims, we think that it is going to bring up genuine healing. It is not going to be dependent on a system that, yeah, maybe it is an assuming if motion, therefore this technology is still going to be catered. But we think because of this healing is going to be catered by you yourself, it means that it is more genuine. It means it is more effective, and it's not going to be like, oh yeah, this harm is going to be catered even more under our side because not everyone have the capability of healing themselves. Therefore, we still think there is still like institutions like psychologues, or maybe even like other people or your friends, or maybe even family members that you can tell these problems with. Meaning there are still a lot of manifestation of safety nets under our side of the house that you can still get, or at least try to get the healing itself. Because when you try to forget what people have done to you, it is not healing, it is more like trying to set aside those problems, meaning the moving on your side of the house is not genuine, and these harms can still come back to you as an emotional build-up especially. And then secondly, we think there is going to be a lot of invalidated emotions under side proposition because they still are going to linger, meaning the lack of characterization in government, they can still be triggered again, meaning there is no guarantee that when you forget it, you're essentially just going to, not care about it anymore. You're not going to ask yourself where your mother went, where your parents went, where your child went when she was kidnapped by a group of people. Therefore, this question is still lingering, and it is the exact burden under side proposition that is not yet been fulfilled. And then secondly, what is the impact towards the perpetrators itself? Firstly, we think the biggest clash on the point of criminals is going to be the acceptance towards society. We think that both sides are going to have a fiat. Get this. Criminals that get out of prison are going to be able to be catered to two people. A, the behavioral inmates, and also the non-behavioral inmates, based off whether they already get enough incapacitation in prison itself. Firstly, on the point of behavioral inmates, they are already going to be accepted by the society anyway, or even if it fails and it's going to take a longer process, that's also part of the incapacitating coming from prison and also coming from like the deterrence of prison itself. I've already proved to you why this deterrence of prison being very bad and prolonging is already enough, and also like is already enough and also be able to cater the status quo, meaning it is still going to be catered under our side of the house.